Happy Hour Hoops, your one-stop shop for enjoying a cold beverage, listening to our ice-cold basketball takes, and just enjoying some basketball talk with Dunny and Jake. Donovan Holden here, as always, with Jake, Micah. Jake, we got a nice casual fun show today, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
unless you're a Sixers fan. We got all sorts of Ben Simmons talk. We have NBA 2K Day, which is today, September 10th, is when you will be listening to this. And then a segment that we are going to start doing, which is just keeping up with JR Smith, who is now in college and plays golf for the collegiate school that he goes to. So, Jake, how are you? Are you ready to talk hoops right now?
Oh yeah, gotta love it. We're recording about an hour out from the NFL debut, but we couldn't get enough. We were like, you know what the world needs before Tom Brady? It needs after Tom Brady, because it's coming out tomorrow. We're recording early. Is Ben Simmons talk. I think that we're right. I think that the world does need some Ben Simmons talk. And it is 2K Day. And that's I think me and you, a day very special to our heart. And all basketball fans around. I was like, I saw a tweet, I think like Tuesday or Wednesday, of that 2K was coming out. And it took me by surprise. Had no idea that it was coming up this quick. I feel like I haven't even played enough Madden yet, but Madden it's going to be done. I've got like 2 games into my season, but Madden might be time to tap out and hop into 2K. But let's not bury the lead. The biggest story in basketball right now, right now going into training camp, I guess I would say, is Ben Simmons. We've been talking about a Ben Simmons trade for like 6 years. Like there's nothing, like I guess it's been more hypothetical. Like now it's kind of actually happening, but I feel like we as basketball fans have been collectively preparing for this moment for a long time.
Yeah. It seems like Philly's going from trust the process to trust the prospects, because that is
Nice bars.
Well, that's what they're going to be going towards. I guess the way to start this Ben Simmons conversation is, like, what are teams even going to be offering? Are they offering anything for Simmons? Like, what does a Ben Simmons trade look like? A few weeks, a month or so into the season, even before last season, we had an idea of what that looked like. We discussed it. Others discussed it. Philly was going back and forth with some teams and some offers. But now I honestly could not tell you what a Ben Simmons trade looks like for any team.
Well, you said that about the prospects, and that's like the interesting thing about it, is because like they want a star, right? Like the thought they're thinking like they could have traded Ben Simmons straight up for like Dame or something like that, or Bradley Beal.
No.
And I think that's where Morey was starting. And that's why he's asking for such a haul of picks and whatever else now. Daryl Morey is not a guy that you should trade with either. He's fleeced a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams that just hate dealing with him in the league. That's definitely a part of it. I think that teams are just tired of dealing with Daryl Morey, and he doesn't have as much leverage as he would have in like a Harden deal, or getting Chris Paul or anything like that. This is a guy that is he's at the leaving last year at the lowest point that everybody's thought in his career, and I think I sucked you into Ben Simmons. I had to apologize for that on one of our after the season or after the playoffs podcast. I had to apologize to everybody. I was like, I hyped him up all year, and I felt like I let the listening public down with that. And now it's like, okay, now you're supposed to be traded for 6 first-round picks, like that same guy. It just doesn't add up. So what is he worth? Like, he's gonna get moved, right? Like, there's no way he's on this team this year. Or is he?
No.
No. Okay.
No,
I didn't know if there was a possibility of that.
Well, unless Ben Simmons was lying, but he could
be a liar.
Yeah, he was outspoken and said he's not reporting to anything involving the 76ers. He wants out. I feel like once those two things are expressed, it sucks for the Sixers. It sucks for the organization, the fans, because, the longer this gets stretched out, usually the way it goes is the value gets lower and lower, and you could end up with a pile of shit for Ben Simmons. But that's something that they have to worry about, and I don't really have to. I'm kind of one of the few who gets to sit back and just watch this collapse because we don't. I don't know. You mentioned, James Harden, Dame Lillard. Those guys were the names involved in Simmons trades in years past, and like 8 months ago, those were the guys.
Yeah.
Now, after the playoff performance we saw, kind of the emotional distress, the lack of confidence in himself. Of course, a lot of teams, I'm sure, are interested. Young, very, just gifted as far as his physique, athleticism, size, defense, which, catches everyone's eye. But it's just a matter of who's willing to take what risk for Ben Simmons and where does he fit best.
Yeah, so let's get into it then. Where does he fit best? Where is the best spot for Ben Simmons? Because, like, the most intriguing thing about this guy is we've never seen him on a team that's built for him, right? Like, that is the narrative that's been going on. I mean, he's a center, bro. Like, maybe he's never going to play as a center in the NBA, but he should be a center, all things considered. He doesn't have the playmaking, like maybe not as much playmaking ability as Jokic. I think Jokic is probably on another level at this point. But in that kind of mold, obviously he can't shoot. Like Jokic can at least shoot a little bit. But like that kind of center mold is something I think Simmons could excel at. That's obviously never going to work next to Embiid. So there are some teams. The Warriors are the most intriguing team, I think, that are still hanging around the periphery of this conversation. Like we never have heard them kind of out of it. They've always kind of snuck their noses in there. Like they're listening around for Ben Simmons. I think Morey would probably be trying to take like all three of those young guys. And I bet you the Warriors probably going to give up like maybe one, maybe two if they had to. But even that like package for the Sixers, you're trying to win. Embiid wants to win a title now, and you're going to bring in. I mean, Wiseman doesn't even make any sense. So you're just going to bring in two wings who might not be able to like really affect you winning a title this year, and that's the team that makes the most sense. That would actually want to take on Simmons, though, because then the rest you're talking about like we're talking about like the Cavs are hanging around, the Timberwolves. Like these are teams that aren't very good, that are just basically trying to take a swing at a superstar, hoping that he works out because they won't be able to get him otherwise.
See, I think the Timberwolves, this was brought to my attention I think I saw a TikTok on it the other day. I guess there's some interest coming from the T-Wolves camp. I don't know how true that is, but I mean, that was the first one I stopped and kind of thought about. I was like, well, similar because Cat is a offensive-minded, force in the paint, kind of like Embiid is, and he can stretch the floor. So that makes me think it might not work. But I do like the idea of Simmons playing alongside D'Lo and Edwards. But then if you talk about those three guys being there and Ben Simmons is there, what are the Timberwolves giving up? Because you have to obviously give up something to get a guy like this. Like we mentioned, the value might drop, but I mean, then you're not getting them for nothing. So are one of those guys gone?
I wouldn't touch getting rid of Cat or Anthony Edwards at this point.
I wouldn't either.
Anyway, I'm Cat definitely not, and Anthony Edwards is already at that point too. Like this kid might be one of the best scorers in the league. Like this year, fuck it might be this year. The way we saw him finish out last year. So that's what doesn't make like. Does D'Angelo Russell and a bunch of picks and whatever else do enough for the Sixers? I don't think so. Like, is D'Lo going to move the needle for you as a playoff team in the East? Like, you have to beat the Nets and the Bucks. You need scoring to beat both those teams. Those are two of the best offenses in the league. They will probably be the best offenses in the league again this year. And they don't have the guns. Like, that's what the biggest problem is. And I just don't know what trade. Like, they're not going to want to do it, because they're not going to want to admit that this is the point that we've come to with this guy. But CJ McCollum for Ben Simmons makes all the sense in the world. It's made sense for like 3 years. And the Sixers just hold him in such a higher regard. And they obviously want Dame instead.
Yeah.
But that's the move. That's the move to me, bro. Like something like that to get another guard, another create. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get from this other than I think a team that potentially could just be like a bottom feeder team just taking a flyer on him at this point. I don't think we're seeing any real teams that are going to make a move and think that Ben Simmons is that piece.
Yeah, you mentioned the Cavs. I think the only way the Cavs do it is if they're just going off of what they're clearly trying to do right now, which is be the tallest team in the NBA.
Yeah, they trade just Colin Sexton and Darius Garland for Ben Simmons, and your starting lineup is like 6'9" and up. What can you do? What can you do?
They're at like that average starting lineup would probably be like right around 7 feet, which is crazy.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I don't know. I see that you have the Celtics here with a double question mark for Ben Simmons. I've weirdly seen like too much of this.
It's been popping up a lot on my feed. Like if it doesn't have to be Jalen or Jason, like why not try to get him in there?
And obviously it wouldn't be, which is even weirder that it's in discussion still, because obviously there's something other than, and it wouldn't be Smart either. I mean, I don't even think Embiid would want to play with Smart or vice versa. So
yeah, what is that? If that's the trade they end up doing, like that's Embiid's gone. Like
I would be so many sorts of upset if that. I don't even want to think about that reality. But the only things I've really seen was like Pritchard, Langford, Neesmith, and like a first rounder or something. Which I don't know, dude. I don't even know if I would do that.
Oh, you would do that. Don't say you wouldn't do that.
I would do that, but I honestly, for Simmons' sake, dude, like I don't think he would make it in Boston. I think there'd be too much pressure from the fan. Boston fans already don't like him. They know he's been underperforming. So if he comes to a basketball city with such high expectations, he was already hated in the past. So you have to get over that weird hump. And then you can't really shoot the ball, but you can defend. I don't know. I don't see it working out in Boston. I mean, if he's already having like this emotional pressure and kind of gets inside his own head, I don't think Boston's the place where you are going to fix that.
Yeah, probably not. It's probably not a good idea on anybody's part with that. But it is interesting to think about that's where we've come to, is that like people are throwing out Pritchard, Neesmith, and whoever else you said in a first round pick. And it's like, yep, that might do it. And it might. Fuck it. Who knows? Like something like that might. The team I'm still considering too is the Miami Heat, who have been very quiet in these talks. I just feel like Pat Riley, he didn't get the star he really wanted this summer. I mean, he got Kyle Lowry, but that wasn't the star that he wanted. And they've got a lot of young guys. I don't know. That's the team they still got a Dragic deal too that they could give up, who's got like 20 million or whatever he is. What were you going to say before
that? No, I was just talking about just something interesting in this Simmons situation that I just wanted to mention this before we moved on from Simmons. I have it here. Saw this stat on TikTok yesterday. Had to fact check it, of course.
It's fair.
So I went and looked at Basketball Reference. I had seen the Steve Nash part before, so I knew that was true. Had to go to Basketball Reference to see this, though. Checked out Ben Simmons' playoff statistics from the 2021 playoffs. So the ones that just played out, the ones where we saw Ben Simmons collapse. He missed 48 free throws in just the 2021 playoffs alone. Not regular season, just the playoffs. Man. Steve Nash missed 44 throughout his entire career. 48. He missed 4 more free throws than Nash missed his entire career. That is mind-boggling. Mind-boggling.
That's sad. Dude. That's really sad, Ben.
This is like an athletic.
Yo, but he put up that.
He's supposed to be some sort of basketball god, dude, and like that is bad.
Bro, but he put up an Instagram video the other day and he hit a couple jumpers. So I think he's good. I think he's back.
I know.
We're ready to go.
This is just such a weird situation, dude, because he's clearly been in the gym. I mean, I don't want to take that away from him, what I shit on is when players who clearly just aren't good shooters post like you mentioned, like he posting videos of him hitting jump shots. That's not exciting anyone, because until we see it in the regular season in game, him hitting threes, no one's going to believe it. But I mean, regardless, he's been in the gym, he's been working out, but he doesn't want anything
He's
to
been
do with
doing
his
something.
team. Yeah,
He's been.
it's just weird, dude. Where I'm at a standstill with how to feel about Ben Simmons at this point. I'm slowly creeping to the point where I'm like feeling bad for Ben Simmons.
No, don't do it. Don't do
Yeah,
that
I
to
don't
yourself.
want to. I kind of just along with everyone else, yourself included, I kind of just want an answer. I feel like, or at least just something. I need some sort of buzz, like a rumor from a blue check mark on Twitter, where
Something.
a team has real interest, or there's a team that's non-specified, but they're willing to give up like 5 first rounders or something for
Yeah.
Simmons. I need some of that in my life right now.
The touch point will be training camp when he doesn't show up. That's when it'll start heating up. I mean, so we'll get it. It's coming. All right, so let's get into some 2K. What is your favorite 2K, Dunny? I feel like we've touched on this before on the podcast.
But I'll bring it up again because it's not only I think the best 2K, probably top 3 video games for me ever. NBA 2K11. It was like this first. I don't know if it's the first time because I am on the younger side, and 2K. 2Ks were out before I was playing video games. But 2K11 with the Michael Jordan edition, you could play all the different MJ games. I just thought the soundtrack was excellent. The gameplay was good. It was user friendly. And it just so happened to be, the 2K that I for sure went the hardest on my player. I had a max. That was when you could max out your guy at 99 everything. I did that. Didn't buy any VC. I took pride in that. I just leveled them up as is. And me and my buddy we dominated people online because I was just constantly playing 2K using my player.
That's always the best.
Yeah, it was 2K. 2K11 is just an easy answer for me. How about you? What do you got?
2K11 solid. I've been thinking about this all day long, really racking my brain instead of doing any work that I should have been doing. And I have to go back to 2K5. I have the ESPN 2K5s, both the NBA and NFL were like the two. I mean, I played game. I want to say that was my first basketball video game I owned. Might have had like a ESPN. Oh, I had ESPN College Basketball 2K5 too, which was that was my favorite game of all time. One of the best games. But those ESPN 2K games were just great. It was awesome to see like when I was like 9 years old, it was awesome to see like you're playing a game and then all of a sudden it's on Sports Center. And you're like, oh shit, I can watch whatever. So I'm going with that. That was my move. It was Ben Wallace on the cover. I played with the Cavs all the time, that trash Cavs team, but Braun was fun in it. That one. And underrated was college basketball 2K5 because you could like the tournament, the whole like
those are
legacy mode.
Games.
They had like you could play with any team if you wanted to. So I did like some with Duke, like Syracuse, like those teams. But you could start off where you literally started at some just like obscure fucking school that was like absolutely terrible and had to like start them up, and you had to like build up your prestige to get better jobs. And I remember like playing with some team as like a 16 seed against a 1 and just get it. Like I've never gotten beat so bad in a video game. It was just I was like playing Kansas. I couldn't even tell you what the school was.
You were Oral Roberts. Roberts.
But there was no upset happening. I got beat by like 40 or 50 or something. It was bad. But yeah, that was the one. So what do you do? Like 2K now, are you just like you're a play now guy? Like what are you usually doing?
Yeah.
You going my player is now. Do you have a what system are you playing on now? Do you have a Series X? Do you have
No, I have
new ones yet?
Xbox One still, unfortunately. Okay. Yeah, no, I don't have a new system. I'm playing Xbox One, and when I load up 2K, I do dabble with the My Player. I always still make them right away because that's the first thing that comes up. I think My Players, I'm biased. Like I said, 2K11 was my bread and butter. They've had good My Player years since then, but I think it's been taking some hits recently. I don't like it as much as I used to. And I just have less time, obviously. Now it's a game, so
that's true.
I do a lot of online versus. I just try to get my record up because once you start unlocking the different leagues, you can play with the old teams, so it's cool. But yeah, I usually just hop on that. I'll play either friends online or just randoms and try to have a good record, at least a winning record, because I, for some reason, pride myself on that kind of stuff.
Hey, no, don't. You hold that near and dear to your
Yeah.
heart. I used to, on Chell, same thing. That I do dabble in the verses on 2K too, but I don't think I will never pass like 20 games. I've definitely been more locked in to my player the last couple years, or I'm a big dynasty guy in any sports game. But 2K1 hasn't 2K dynasty mode and like an NHL dynasty mode. It's just too much because I don't know which games I'm supposed to like. I'm not paying 82 game schedule. And I never know which games to pick. And then if you just play playoff games, it's like, okay, but I haven't actually been playing this game, so I'm going to be trash for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be down 2-0 in this random series because I didn't. So I've kind of been out on dynasties. I've been locked in on my player, but it is a grind. And you kind of have to put the hours in. I bought a lot of VC, unlike your guy from 2K11. No shame in it. Sometimes I'm just looking at him. I'm like, you know what?
Well, I think
I've got 10 bucks to spare.
Now.
You kind of have to, like,
that's kind of what I was
too.
alluding to, though. It was like easier back then.
Oh, yeah.
One, you could max out your guy completely, and two, like now there's all these things where there's the park, so you're being pressured into like buying cool shit because other guys are wearing like full Nike jumpsuits, looking like Drake, and your guys in that gross brown t-shirt that
they're doing flips and shit in the court, and you're like, what the fuck? Yeah.
He's like diamond headband on, and my guy has a t-shirt from Kohl's on, dude. Like, just there's so much pressure to just pimp out your guy.
When you get your Series X or a PS5, whatever you get first, just wait, because the park and the city or the neighborhood is now the city. And the video the other day was ridiculous. You have to like ride skateboards around to get everywhere in this place. There's like a rap studio. You can go become a rapper. You become a fashion icon. Yeah. So there's no talk of basketball at all, obviously.
Yeah,
you don't need to worry about that. But if you want to go get some bars down, you can get them in. My player's fun. I think this year I'm joining you on the online versus more often, though. I think that's where I'm going to go. I was saying earlier in Shell, I had a year where that was like my only thing. I was like, I just want to have like a sick record in online versus. Yeah. And I would get way too mad. And that's a game you can't get mad at, like, because that game can fuck you over in a million ways. And so I think that's what turned me off of online versus for a while. But you convinced me. I'm going to hop back in. The old teams would be cool online.
It is, yeah. It's really fun, dude, because like I'll use the Timberwolves when KG was there, and it's literally like I'm using it strictly to like get a 40 piece with KG. Like I'm really not taking shots with anyone else. Like I'm just feeding that guy in the post and dunking on people. But then like even like I'm trying to think of the year now. I want to say like 2005-ish.
Yeah,
the Golden State Warriors with like Baron Davis, Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson. Like, I don't know. I love using that team in 2K because it's cool because you unlock some of these teams quick and they don't really have a high overall because it's just like, guys like that, big name guys, but they were never
stars,
really superstars. They all played together at one time. I don't know. You got to go down the small avenues and have fun with it in 2K sometimes.
I like that. All right. So before we wrap up every episode, we are going to end it with this segment. And I don't know, we haven't named it yet. I do like keeping up with JR. Some keeping up with Kardashians type deal. I don't know. Like I want like a logo that we can put on the screen. Like we got to figure this out. But we're exactly that. JR he is no longer an NBA basketball player. He is now a college golfer at NC North Carolina A&T, and going to school, going to classes, keeping up with it on Twitter, letting everybody know how he's doing. So, Dunny, drop us some of the dimes that we've seen from JR coming out. And I think he sounds like us. He sounds like us going to school more often than not.
Yeah, so he's a real regular, like, run-of-the-mill college dude now, and I love it. Excuse me. But I did want to address this because it was one of the first things I saw him tweet when he first got to school. I guess a lot of his classmates or just peers in college were making a lot of Hennessy jokes when he first got there. And he kind of went public with it, saying he kind of wants the Henny jokes to stop, guys. JR is flipping a new leaf, and he wants people to know that. Like, of course, shirtless Hennessy JR is what we think of sometimes when we think of JR Smith. And he's kind of saying that's just one version of himself, and he's trying to better himself. Yeah, he's a man with a lot of different talents, and he's proven that now. So I just wanted to, address that because that was one of the things he tweeted. I didn't have it here, but I felt it was important to bring up. It was also really cool. I noticed I was going through his Twitter before we hopped on. Also, super worth the follow. I mean, he's always been worth the follow, but like
that's true.
If you're like have gone to college within like the last like 10 years, or you're just a big JR stan, like it's a good follow to follow JR Smith right now. But what really caught my eyes, he was dressed up in all of his, all this school gear. It looked like he might have been in the school store, like just buying all this new stuff. Posting videos promoting another student who is running for freshman class president. Her name was Kylie Rice. He's getting involved.
Shout out Kylie.
Student politics. Kylie. I think her slogan was "Don't think twice, vote Kylie Rice." And she got video of JR saying it. Too. He blasted it, which was just so nice. I love it to see JR getting involved. And then I'll bang through some of his best tweets that I pulled, and we can talk about them a little bit.
I'm ready for it.
So the first one was, I believe this was sometime this past week. Had my first golf team practice yesterday. The experience is amazing. Can't wait for the opportunity to put our skills on as a team. So many great teammates with great tips to get around the course. Learned so much from these dudes. # Aggie Pride. So he's already all in on the golf game, which is awesome.
It. He is a scratch. I remember this. It wasn't a surprise. I remember hearing that he was a scratch golfer like a couple years ago and didn't think anything of it. Like, I would love to see how JR is doing with those young guns out there. Like, is he working them? Like, is JR giving these kids came into this school and they had no idea what to expect, and all of a sudden they're just getting beat in golf by JR Smith every day of practice? That's wild. All right, keep it going.
That would be sick. That would be sick just to be, a regular
on the course,
regular old average Joe on this golf team, and then JR Smith's just your teammate. I didn't even think about that.
Just cheering you on as you're hitting your approach shot on some par 4. Like, nice shot. It'd be great.
Thanks, JR. And then so the next one here, a lot of these, so he's taking pride in his schoolwork, he's paying attention, he's focusing on getting good grades. He says, "I'm so happy about this quiz. Man, these joint be having me stress the fuck out. For real. I played in front of 20,000 for a long time, but taking a quiz by yourself," and then it was the classic Key and Peele skit of Jordan
sweating.
Yeah, Jordan Peele just sweating profusely, beads of sweat running down his face. So basically he's saying, he's played in front of packed crowds, Madison Square Garden, dunks, threes, played in the finals, but at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, taking a quiz or a test by himself has him sweating it out. And like I said, like you said, JR is just so relatable, dude. Like he's a normal
as somebody who used to just write flashcards until their hand was cramped and couldn't do it anymore, studying for an exam. I relate to that so hard, JR. I'm not a big test person either. I'm good with anything else. Tests, hated them. Never was bad at them, but just couldn't stand it. Understandable, JR. That's way worse than playing in front of anybody. I believe that 100%.
Yeah, and then this is also quiz related. I don't know if it was the same quiz, but 46.
I hope not. I hope so. I was thinking of a different one, but
yeah, no, the next one, he goes 46 out of 50 on my nutrition quiz. And then it doesn't show it here, but it was a bunch of fire emojis.
Hell yeah.
And then he said he's going to the student center to get some Chick-fil-A. And then it was he did a little
Chick-fil-A on campus?
Yeah, I know, dude.
What the fuck is
that? That's awesome. That's what it
baller as fuck.
They probably put it. They were like, "Oh, JR's coming. Like, find out what his favorite fast food is. Put it in the calf."
Chick-fil-A.
But then he posted a little.
Bro, I would have been so fat. Oh my god, I would have eaten that
Imagine
shit
just
every day.
golf practice every day, then Chick-fil-A after, dude. Doesn't sound too bad.
If you had a Chick-fil-A on your campus, you would have eaten there every day. You had meal plan, right? Like literally, I don't think that maybe one day I wouldn't have went. Maybe one. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I can give myself one. We had a Quaker Steak and Lube, and people were there all the time. And that place ain't even that good. Imagine a Chick-fil-A.
Not at UMass, but my freshman year when I went to Westfield, we had a Dunkin's on campus, and
That's solid.
that was like our big thing. It was just weird because you don't usually see them on college campuses. I feel like they usually like do their own coffee and like breakfast thing. But
I worked for Starbucks on campus, and we had 4 Starbuckses in a mile radius.
Oh wow!
Literally, like 2 of them off campus, and then 2 on campus. But the ones off campus were across the street from the campus. I was like, why? I was like, first movie, I was like, why do we need so many Starbucks? And then I started working there, and I was like, this is why you need so many Starbucks.
Yeah,
this is why.
They might be putting in a second Chick-fil-A now because of JR. Especially if he keeps balling out on his quizzes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then so we got 2 more here. The second to last one is I need a new gaming laptop bad. Something I can do my schoolwork on plus play #COD Warzone on. And I mean, if that just epitomizes my entire college career.
Your entire existence.
Yeah. That's just, I mean, we've talked about JR being relatable on these tweets. That hit home with me when I read that one.
There you go.
And then the last one here, Dr. Earl Joseph Smith III.
Yes.
I did not know was his name until I read this tweet. I knew his real name wasn't J.R. Smith, but I did not know it was that. Has a dope ring to it. A hell of a long way to go, but not impossible. One day at a time. #go for yours. J.R. Smith is reaching for the stars, and I love it, dude.
Yours.
Not only is he being involved, getting Chick-fil-A, playing COD, this dude has doctor in his sights, and I don't know what he aspires to get his doctorate in. It doesn't really matter because J.R. Smith's playing golf and he's in college. He's talked about possibly
living the dream.
He's talked about possibly changing his major, just being such a relatable student. It's just awesome. It's actually JR's birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday, JR.
If you're listening on Friday when this is going to come out, time travel real quick. It's actually Thursday right now. His birthday is today. But yeah, so just I feel like this is just something we have to do. We're doing it for the people. Keeping up with JR is what we're going to call it for now. That's a working title. We might switch it to something else.
We'll figure it out. We're going to make a logo. It's going to pop up. It's going to be fancy.
Yes.
It's going to be nice.
It will be fancy.
Love it. Good luck to JR. Don't be getting caught up in some shit, JR. These kids are wilding out here. All right. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just saying these kids are crazy. Like he might think he knows what's going to be going on, but he's going to see some crazy shit at that college. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah,
kids be wilding. It's gonna be fun. I hope we get some like Instagram stories, JR, like at the football game, on campus, at homecoming. Like give me all of it. We need it all. All right. Before we go, wrap up. Follow us at Happy Hour Hoops 1, all social platforms. Listen to this podcast wherever you get your podcast. Dunny, this is a basketball podcast, but what is your Super Bowl 50? Whatever. I don't even know what fucking Super Bowl it is. There's too many of them. What is your Super Bowl pick for this year?
Ooh. I got Bucks, Bills.
There you go. And then then we won't talk for those 3 weeks probably leading up to that Super Bowl and the week after because it'll be Tom Brady versus the Bills.
Yes.
And I don't know if I can handle that. Well, actually, I can. I wanted it last year. I was really begging for Bucks Bills, and we were that close. That close. I like it. I respect it. You didn't have to pick the Bills. I didn't know if you were going to or not, but you didn't have to.
I was going to say Chiefs, but I don't want to be too mainstream here. I also don't want that to be the Super Bowl again. I just think that it very well could be.
I'm going Bills Rams. Obviously, I'm picking the Bills in here, but I'm excited about Matt Stafford. I've got him on a lot of fantasy teams, and I've got Robert Woods on a lot of fantasy teams. So I'm really believing in it. But I think they might be nasty this year. So we'll see.
I like that. I like that.
That's football hour on Happy Hour Hoops right there. All right, y'all. Hope you enjoyed the game last night. We'll talk to you again soon. Basketball is right around the corner, everybody.
Later, guys.